It's been 5 seasons and 4 years since we started making this podcast. Our desire to understand the world through fish, how it's caught, by whom, and how it ends on our plates, or not, has taken us to most continents and adjacent oceans. This season, we had a long layover after a more than 20-hour-long flight in Fiji, the ultimate tourist mecca. I could hear American English all around me. But that wasn't our final destination. From Fiji, we took another flight over its western archipelago, over islands like Solevu and Tavua, and past Vanuatu's islands, all of them turquoise blue rimmed, rising over the ocean like beautiful gems that had been sewn into fabric.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
We landed in Honiara, the capital of the Solomon Islands. I never imagined my work would bring me here, a country most Americans don't get to visit. And for those who do, it's a place they associate with bombings during World War II.
With Army flying fortresses accompanying them, the Marines launched their attack on Japan's Solomon Island bases. These are the first films of the United States' initial step toward recapturing Japanese positions in the Pacific.
The Solomon Islands have a long and complicated history, like all nations. As I got off my plane and felt the humidity, I had no idea how that history had taken some major turns in recent decades. These turns have put the South Pacific island nation ahead of others, even much richer countries. Once again, welcome to The Catch, a podcast from Foreign Policy about the seafood we eat and the impact it can have on our world. I'm Ruxandra Guidi. Later this season, we'll be looking at one of the most consequential news for the world's oceans, a high seas treaty. It's a long time coming, 20 plus years, and an opportunity for everyone to agree on how to govern international waters and how best to protect and use those ecosystems. Pacific Island nations like the Solomons have been a force in this movement because a high seas treaty is crucial to them as people and economies. Okay, here's episode 1, Saltwater People. If there's one simple thing we've learned in the making of The Catch, is that all people, the world over, have a deep connection to the ocean, to its rhythms and its riches, to its vastness. But that connection is especially unique in the South Pacific, where populations are spread out over thousands of miles of ocean and seemingly countless islands. Just to give you an idea, the Solomons, which are located east of Papua New Guinea and northeast of Australia, comprise around 992 islands. And I say around because some of those are still being formed, while others are disappearing. These islands are living things, almost. More on that in later episodes. Fishing here is at the very heart of cultures that have island hopped over millennia and across the Pacific. So we're in Honiara, the capital of the Solomon Islands, and we are at the central market facing the water right now. I see a big kind of tanker kind of ships. No fishers' boats really at this hour. They're going to be coming in later around 2 or 3 p.m., but directly behind us is the market where there's folks selling bonito and rainbow and yellowfin, tuna, but there's kind of slim pickings. You can tell that most people bought the stuff earlier today, and they'll probably come back for the afternoon catch. This big open-air market is very crowded, and everyone's taking care of something. Young men are pushing plastic crates around, and most of the fish sellers are women. They're waving these homemade fly swatters made with cut-up pieces of plastic water bottles.
Those are the big ones.
Impressive. I don't think that's tuna, though. The Honiara Central Market has been around since the 50s. You can buy clothing here, and produce, and crafts. But of course, we've come for the fish. I'm with Rob Sachs. You've heard his name in the credits. He's also my editor. And we're here with our local reporting partner,
Dorothy Wickham.
So maybe we can go there and talk to them too, yeah. But we take them back this one now.
And Dorothy is a longtime journalist here, an editor with the Melanesian News Network, a TV news personality, an expert on regional politics, you name it. Most notably, though, Dorothy is everyone's friend. She has family everywhere and friends from all walks of life. And if they aren't her friends, like this lady we meet at the market, then she's good at charming herself into a friendship, albeit temporary. The thing is, Dorothy has a great memory for names and faces, and we'll soon find out about this. She speaks many of the local languages and dialects, and can seamlessly switch back and forth between English and the more commonly spoken Pidgin. You'll hear some English words peppered throughout the Pidgin.
So, Tuvala, Robna Neblehem, Ruxna Neblehem.
Okay.
You Neble what?
Mary.
We meet a woman in her 60s, Mary. Dorothy asks, Mary who?
Mary who?
Mary, the mother of Jesus.
And she says, you know, Mary, the mother of Jesus. With Mary are her daughters and other young workers. 6 or 7 fish, some 3 feet long, are neatly displayed on a table before us.
Okay. Yeah. How many years?
How many years now you did this?
We just started last year. Only last year.
Oh, you just started last year.
Daily me sell bonito, yelfin from Pesina Arabia. Mi sasago pipilo ota Pesina Botia.
Do you understand?
I'm afraid no, only
she said
5%.
This fishing and having her own boat, she's only been doing it for a year now. But before that, she was reselling the bycatches, the tuna. That's how she made her money and bought her boat.
We heard other stories as well, very similar to Mary's. That tuna species like bonito and yellowfin sell the most. That many of the women selling had started small, selling the bycatch, the fish scooped up along the tuna. They often help their husbands or brothers, and before long, they start businesses of their own.
Mary, one more question. I want to know if you grew up fishing. Did you fish when you were a kid?
I'm like that time you small girl, you big come if you fishing too.
Oh yeah. Me fella stay at Fishol Island. Take a small canoe, me go fishing all over. Sometimes me say, oh, Mary absent, no, attend class. Me take canoe, me go.
Mary was in a boat somewhere else, not in school?
Then me go fishing.
Mary is from Lao Lagoon in the northeastern part of the country. The lagoon is more than 20 miles long, and it contains about 60 man-made islands built out of rocks that have been piled on the reef, all to make it easier to fish. They call themselves saltwater people. Just a few stalls away, we find Edna.
I'm
Edna.
She's younger than Mary, probably in her 30s.
Kenny.
You're a Kenny. Okay, you can talk to her because this one's got good English, this one.
Edna? Ruxandra. Nice to meet you. I would like to know how you started selling at the market.
I'm married to a guy from Malaita province, Langa. They are good in fishing, so we start thinking money. That's why we have to buy a boat and an engine.
One interesting thing about Edna is that she didn't grow up fishing, and she has a day job as an accountant for one of the ministries.
She's a real businesswoman, huh?
That's cool. I'm wondering how long you've been doing this then, since you transitioned from accounting to this business.
I think quite more than 10 years. Here in Solomon, we work, but the money is not enough. Like cost of living is very high these days, so we have to do other things beside of work.
In this, we heard everywhere we went as well. The cost of living is high in the Solomons. Fuel is imported, and its price is always rising. Yes, it's true that many families like Mary's or Edna's are able to start businesses catching and selling fish, but it's far from glamorous. And as you know from all our previous seasons, being an artisanal fisher is hard work. Every fish for sale has a story about how long it took to catch it and by whom, about how much gas it took to bring it to market and how fast it sold.
How much is this big one?
This is 700.
$700.
That's around $80 for a yellowfin. And when it's hard to find, that can go up to $200. It's a beautiful fish, by the way, matte gray with bright yellow dorsal fins across the top. It's also known as ahi, a Hawaiian word, and it's a prized catch in Japan, where it's commonly eaten in sushi. As we walk through the market, Dorothy tries connecting with different kinds of people, speaking their language, figuring out whether they too come from her mother's or her father's village. There is great ethnic and cultural diversity throughout its almost 1,000 islands. But also, the Solomon Islands is itself just one nation out of a collective of island nations, one little corner in a very vast Pacific Ocean. It's a place like no other, and I'll try to paint you a quick picture of how it came to be. The Solomon Islands National Museum dates back to the 1950s, when the islands were a British protectorate. It is one of the oldest government institutions in the country. It's a compound of wooden traditional buildings with thatched roofs, though its collection of ancient artifacts, crafts, and black and white photographs sits all within one big gallery. And one of the first things we see as we walk inside is something called a shark rattle, which are moved to and fro on the surface of the water to produce a rattling noise, which attracts sharks.
Should we see what it sounds like?
The shark rattle was like a giant baby rattle made of coconut shells strung together by a reed. Fishermen would use the rattle below the water, enticing the sharks to come to the surface, which made them an easier catch. For many tribal communities here in the Solomons, shark and dolphin catching ceremonies used to be more common.
Yeah. Oh, that's showing it.
Next to the rattle was a fishing kite.
Wow.
Another really cool artifact used to catch garfish, these long needlefish that live in shallow waters.
Okay, fishing kite from Santa Ana, acquired in 1974.
The kite was made out of woven dried banana leaves, and at one end of the string the fishers would use bait, like shrimp, as well as sticky spider webs that ultimately ensnared the garfish. Archaeologists believe this technique goes back to the Stone Age, yet it is still being used in parts of Southeast Asia to the north, in countries like Singapore and Java.
Okay. Ruben. Hello.
Ruxandra.
Oh, good. Ruben Sangegeo.
Ruben Sangegeo is one of those archaeologists trying to connect the present with the past. He met us at the National Museum while on a break from choosing artifacts that will go to a new museum the government is building in Tulagi, one of the Salomonese islands to the north.
Culturally, before the colonial time, our local people here in Solomon Islands, that's what they use to catch fish. They use local method like coconut shell. They produce nets from the spider's web to catch fish. Mostly they catching fish for local consumption and not for economical purposes.
Fishing is at the heart of Salomonese culture, its economy and identity. Well, the Solomons are home to multiple ethnic identities, which are grouped into three main ones: Melanesians, who are the wide majority, then Polynesians and Micronesians. Catching fish and trading it from one island to the next brought everyone closer together. Each community had their own ways of catching on a small scale.
Until when the colonial era was here, and that's where the traders, they started to trade in good modern fishing tools like hooks and also fishing lines, and they started to exchange with the local people and also taught how to use them. And since then, after the World War II in 1942 up until now, the fishing methods started to change over time. And after that, when they started to go into modern fishing industry, which fishing companies, they came and they started to use huge fishing nets. They catch huge tons of, especially tuna, for meeting the high demand of the export overseas. So, except only few villages in Solomon Islands where you can go and see the shark rattles.
Today, as Ruben points out, there are still parts of the Solomons that rely on ancient methods. Artisanal fishing is alive and well. You can see people fishing on their small motorboats on Honiara's coast, but you can also see folks on their dugout canoes as well. Most are fishing for their families or to sell at the Honiara Central Market. There are also industrial fleets catching the much-coveted tuna away from the coasts in the Solomons' exclusive economic zones, but I'll tell you about those later. Like so many people we meet here, Ruben has fishing experience as well.
From my village where I came from in South Malaita, most of the people depend on marine life for daily survival. So when climate change affects all the fishing spots around our village, we have to find another fishing grounds a bit far from our village where we used to do fishing, and that's something that really needs to be addressed.
This isn't only happening in the Solomonese island of Malaita, but in the entire country and in the wider Pacific region, and of course, the world over. Warming waters due to climate change are affecting fish populations and traditional ways of fishing. And yet the island's connection to the ocean is seminal, something that cannot be taken away by the impacts of climate change.
Can you describe to me what it feels like to be out there by yourself in a canoe in the water waiting for the fish who may or may not come, right? It's a unique activity.
Yeah.
You're there, it's quiet, there's the birds, the wind. I mean, it's beautiful, but what does it feel like?
Well, you alone in a dugout canoe out there and nobody's around, and you're just waiting for, hoping for, something. But, sometimes it's quite stressful because the weather, the sun is very hot. You're getting tired of sitting at the one place for almost an hour. It's quite stressful, but at the back of my mind is I must do some catch today to feed my family. So even it takes longer, I have to pay attention. And even if I don't catch any fish on that spot, I have to find another fishing spot. Sometimes when you're lucky day, you can catch something. But if it's your unlucky day and there's nothing much you can catch. Yeah. And it's always like that. But the thing here is, back in my village in Malaita, we know a lot of good fishing spots. So when we go there, we always catch something.
How do you know they're good fishing spots? What makes them, other than the fact that you've caught before, but are there signs in the landscape that tell you?
Yeah, actually, our ancestors taught us about that. So when we went out there, we always look for the landmarks like the hill, the tallest tree, the shortest tree, or the valley, and how many points along the coast. So we always get the landmarkers to actually get the positions of the reefs and all this. So what our ancestors...
The coordinates.
Yes. So we just get the coordinates by looking at the nature. So this kind of knowledge is, it's transferred orally from generations to generations. Every fishing man in the village, they mastered about this kind of knowledge.
For thousands of years, this was a solid system passed down by word of mouth. As Ruben says, a lot of these practices started shifting with colonization when the British declared a protectorate over the southern Solomon Islands in 1893. They introduced Western fishing practices. They also brought the English language and Christianity and a plantation and trade economy that exploited natural resources from indigenous tribes while trying to change their ways. But around the 1940s, even before independence from the British, is when the Solomons' history got irrevocably entangled with the U.S.
America switched over to the offensive on the Far East Front with the attack on the Solomon Islands. And the news that came in advance of the film record is good.
The Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941. And then the U.S. decided to target the Japanese invasion of the Solomon Islands the following year.
Further pictures from the Solomon Islands coincide with the news of yet another big American naval victory over the Japanese.
You may have heard in history class about the Battle of Guadalcanal. Almost 100,000 people, most of them Japanese forces, were killed. Thousands of Solomon Islanders died, though there are no official records. Even today, unexploded munitions from that time kill at least 20 people every year in the islands.
Honiara is littered with possibly thousands of unexploded bombs and shells. Deaths across the country are commonplace.
People in the Solomon Islands remember this history well, even as most Americans may not know much about this country in the South Pacific. The U.S. influence is felt here, beyond the unexploded munitions in former military bases. We were surprised to hear this classic by John Denver during one of our first dinners, played by a local group of young musicians. Maybe they were singing it because Rob and I were there, the only Americans staying at that hotel and eating fish at its restaurant. Or maybe they just had a feeling that Rob is a big John Denver fan.
Country road, take me home to the place I belong, West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home, country road.
This was still at the beginning of our trip, before we set out to see how tuna not just shapes the lives of people here, but has been key in helping the Solomons overcome its painful colonial and war-ridden pasts.
Take me home.
Next week on The Catch.
It is a well-managed fishery, and like I say, we're really blessed to be in the middle of it all. The question is, will that continue?
And that's it for this episode of The Catch. Our show is a production of Foreign Policy in partnership with the Walton Family Foundation. Our production team includes Rosie Julin, Rob Sachs, and Susanna Mays. Special thanks to my co-reporter Dorothy Wickham. If you like what you're hearing, let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Email us at podcasts@foreignpolicy.com to share what The Catch means to you. Has it inspired you to work on fisheries, to nerd out on fish, or eat more seafood? Maybe you shared a fun new fish fact with a friend and they learned something new. Tell us at podcasts@foreignpolicy.com. Thanks for listening. I'm Ruxandra Guidi, and I'll see you next week.